Thank you very much, Ben and Ryan, for having me. I appreciate it. I just want to start off by saying, as Ben mentioned, I'm not here to promote the Steem cryptocurrency or tell anyone to invest in it. I just think it's, there's a lot of cool tech in how it works, and a lot of people don't know about it. And there's a lot of opportunities for, developers to work on it. So just going to share that with you guys tonight. So starting off, what is the Steem blockchain? It was created by Ned Scott and Dan Larimer. It's, sort of a next generation, whatever that means, blockchain that was launched over 2 years ago now. And it's an application-specific blockchain for content publishing and for rewarding content publishers online. And we'll get into, specifically how that works. So Ned is currently still the CEO of Steem Inc. And Dan has created BitShares originally before creating Steem, and has more recently created EOS, which I'm sure more of you are familiar with. So even if you're really not familiar with Steem at all, EOS also works in very much the same way and is built by the same person on the same core technology. Yeah. So a lot of this information kind of applies in both cases. So how does it work? So the concept at a high level is very similar to Reddit. The only difference is that when you get upvotes on your content, it's actually worth Steem cryptocurrency, which is worth money. So, so if you had a very popular post, you get a lot of votes, you can actually earn money from that, and it's a way of monetizing content online. So you can see I put a screenshot here of this person who posted about their breakfast and got what at the time was worth about $45 of Steem for that. And I copied a screenshot. You can see each person that voted, and you can see how much each of their vote is worth. And the reason that everyone's vote is worth a different amount is because it's a stake-weighted voting system. So that means if I have 1 Steem and someone else has 1,000 Steem, their vote is worth 1,000 times more than mine is. So it incentivizes people to invest in the Steem platform because that essentially gives you more control over the rewards that are paid out. And just having liquid Steem doesn't give you any power or voting power on the platform. So you have to stake it, and which is you purchase a different actual cryptocurrency token called Steem Power, which is tradable 1-for-1 with Steem. So if you have 1,000 Steem that you bought on an exchange, you can then stake it in the system by purchasing 1,000 Steem Power with it, and at that point your vote would have a value to other people. So. And additionally, when you stake it as Steem Power, it's locked up for a period of 13 weeks. So if you want to what's called power it down and get Steem again, which you can sell, you have to do that. You get over 13 weeks, you get it in 13 equal installments. So if you have 13,000 Steem Power, you want to take it out, you'll get 1,000 Steem a week for 13 weeks until it's all gone. So additionally, if you make a post, the rewards are paid out after 7 days. So you have 7 days to, see how much interest you can get in it. And at that time, you get your rewards from the Steem platform, and then the post can't receive any more votes after that point. And that's a somewhat contentious topic. And there are some workarounds that people do, as in they repost content or whatever. And a lot of that can be handled at the user interface level, so you might not realize that the post has just been reposted. But from a blockchain perspective, there's 7 days on each piece of content that it can receive upvotes and earn rewards. Similarly, content can be downvoted. So the idea is it's a community-driven reward system. So if people feel that this person's breakfast was not worth $45, you can downvote, which removes rewards in exactly the same proportion as you upvote. Typically, that doesn't happen that often. People are generally nice at this point, but you can do that. And to note, all the text content that's posted is actually stored on the blockchain, which, yeah, go ahead.
So if I vote on something, it costs me some of my own Steem?
That's a really good question. I think that's on the next slide. If you
What was the question on here?
Does it actually cost you any of your Steem to vote? Yeah, that's a question I get a lot. And where do the rewards come from? So the answer is no, it does not cost any of your own Steem. So the rewards come from essentially the new Steem that's created by the network. So I made this little graphic here. So, you know, a lot of people don't realize that the government can just create money whenever it wants, and that mostly goes out to banks. And we have no control or not that much visibility into it, really. Bitcoin, I think, improves on that by, you know, having a fixed rate of issuance. And all the new Bitcoin that are created with each block go to the miner because the miners have large expenses, so that's the reward for running the network. So in Steem, being that it's a proof of stake system, there is no proof of work mining. It costs very little to produce a block since there's no work that needs to be done. So a small portion of the new Steem tokens that are created go to what are known as the witnesses that create the blocks, and all of the rest goes into a reward fund that gets distributed out to the content publishers based on the value of the votes they received on their content. So when you vote on someone's post and that gives them Steem, you're giving them new Steem that's being created you know, from the new blocks and the inflation rate of the currency. And it is an inflationary currency. So the inflation rate is currently at around, I believe, 9%, and that goes down about 0.5% a year over 20 years until it's about 0.5% ongoing. So it will always have some level of inflation. It won't run out like Bitcoin will at some point. So hopefully that answers that question.
What role do the witnesses play?
Well, the witnesses play the role of producing the blocks, so and running the consensus mechanism of the blockchain. So we're going to get into specifically how that works, but it's similar to, in concept, to any proof of stake system where you have certain nodes that create the blocks, and the incentive is essentially based upon that they have a lot of stake in the system. Yeah.
So the witnesses basically are mining the
Yeah, it's the equivalent of mining in this case. I also am a witness, and I run a witness node, so I do some of that as well. So here's, speaking of how the witnesses work. So technically, Steem is what's called a delegated proof of stake system, and this is again the same as EOS is. So the idea is it's not just how much stake you have in the system, but everyone with stake can vote for who the block producers should be. And so again, like EOS, it's run mostly by the top 20 witnesses in terms of votes. And again, if I have 1 Steem power and someone else has 1,000 Steem power, their vote is worth 1,000 times more than mine is. So you have a bunch of people who, you know, will run a server that can create blocks, and the chances that they create a block is based on, you know, the amount of votes that they've received from everyone who holds stake in the system. So specifically, so every 21 blocks, a new group of 21 witnesses is selected to create those next blocks. It'll be the top 20 witnesses plus 1 person who's not in the top 20. Yep.
Is there much churn in that top 20, or is it the same top 20 like all the time?
There is.
How often do you have to vote?
You vote once, so you can vote up to 30 witnesses. Each account can. And you don't have to change it at all, or you can if you want to. So in Steem in particular, you know, there is some change in the top 20 witnesses. For the most part, they're fairly constant, but at the top levels, like 15 through 20, those kind of change out, and some new people come in on a somewhat regular basis.
Does the 30 witnesses apply to those like original 20 stakeholders as well? Like,
Well, the 30, you can vote for up to 30 people with your stake. So that's what the 30 means.
not like you.
Yeah, but there's not like, it's just you can vote at any time. So it's just that all the time. So every 21 blocks that are created, and a block is created every 3 seconds. So that's every 63 seconds, based on the value of all the votes cast at that time, it takes the top 20 plus 1 person randomly selected from outside the top 20. And it's, you know, the 21st person has a much higher chance of being selected than the 100th person on the list. So you see here's the list at the time that I took the screenshot of the top 32. You see me down there at 31. So, so the top 20 get to create a block about every minute, and then the backup witnesses outside of the top 20 get selected based on the amount of votes they have. So we got the two, Ben.
Have there been any attacks on those like recurring witness nodes? Like if it's so common that they're the ones getting the reward? Like have people like been able to like single them out and like, figure out?
Yeah, so the actual location of their nodes is private. So there are seed nodes that just handle all the transactions going back and forth, and there's a lot more of those. As far as I know, none of the top 20 witness servers have been attacked. It's possible. I mean, definitely in the top 20, everyone has backups, if not many backup witness servers that you can switch to on a dime. I have one backup, and I've had to switch to it on occasion, not because of an attack, but just because something went wrong.
Why would I vote for any particular person to be a witness? I mean, I know why I would vote for you because I know you, but is that what people are doing? Like
People
people
posting content on Steam, like saying like why you vote for that.
Yeah, so I mean, Steem has the advantage of that it's kind of a social blockchain. So there's a lot of posting, and it's easy to kind of see what everybody's doing from their blogs. But typically, it's about what projects and what things they're doing to help further the Steem platform. So I mean, all these people in the top 20 are doing a lot of things that help the platform. So GTG, which stands for Gandalf the Grey, he does actual development work on the Steem blockchain. Jesta's number 2 has built the only Steem desktop wallet software that there is, and I could go down the list. So basically, they build projects that people like and people use, and they're clearly committed to the platform.
To your knowledge, has there been any effort to try and get more people from diverse backgrounds into Steem, so it's not just like everyone's buddy that joins onto it? There's been talks of trying to expand it where people from different countries or different backgrounds. Whatever it is.
You mean from the witnesses or just from general usage? I don't know about that specifically. I know there's a lot of talk, and they make sure that their actual witness servers are located in various places around the world. So if there's some type of issue in the United States, not half of the witnesses go down. So that's important. I mean, I do know off the top of my head that some of the witnesses, like Clayop is Korean. I know one of them's German. I mean, they are somewhat dispersed, although Steem is, I'd say, most popular in the U.S., so they're probably, the U.S. represents the majority. Any more? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, how easy is it to break into that top 20? And are their upvotes worth like thousands of dollars each just because they're staking so much?
Well, so the actual witness rewards, while relatively substantial, I mean, it's not like being a top Bitcoin miner, right? Because like I had mentioned on the previous slide, only a small portion of the new Steem created goes to the block producers because it doesn't cost a lot, right? My server's like $100 a month or whatever. It's the people on this list don't necessarily have a super large stake. I mean, they're going to have some decent amount of Steem, but not like millions usually. So the votes from the whales in the system are very important, definitely in getting to the top 20. And there's some different sites. One of them is called steamreports.com, where you can actually go and look at the witnesses, and it breaks it out by who are their largest voters, and how many votes do they have just from smaller voters and things like that. But it's very difficult to get in the top 20, but definitely not impossible. I know some people who have more recently gotten the top 20. I myself have only been doing this for like 6-8 months and have gotten almost to the top 30, so it's doable.
I've heard rumors of talks where it'll be kind of like a voted delegate system where the top 20 won't always be the top 20. People will be voted in and out. What are your thoughts about that? Like, so that you can change so that no one people have the power of it constantly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's purposely set up so that a relatively small group of people kind of have the power, it makes it a lot easier to make decisions. There's been no contested hard forks. Changes to the platform are relatively simple, and the top 20 and even below witnesses, we have a Slack group and discuss these things at length. So I think that's by design, and the whole idea is that if anyone there does anything bad or that the community doesn't agree with, you remove your votes, and then they no longer have that power.
At what point will you not be able to have just a top 20 make decisions where you have to have a top 100? What level do you think you'll have to have that type of witness level?
I mean, the platform would have to be changed to work that way. I mean, right now it works where the top 20 witnesses make 20 out of 21 blocks, so they effectively control the platform.
So the witness is essentially the governance structure, and they can make decisions on code changes and stuff.
Yep, so if there's code changes to the core blockchain, the witnesses vote, and if I don't think it's a 50, I think it's more than a 50% majority that's needed to actually have the change be applied.
Will it under attack? It's kind of like Bitcoin. You will have a 51% attack. Will this be under blockchain under any attack like that?
Well, I mean, if for that to happen, it would have to be, more than half of the top 20 witnesses would have to coordinate on that attack. So if it was a situation where, half of the top witnesses that were voted in by the community got together and created an attack, that's how it would work.
Is there any kind of slashing or anything like is being proposed for some of the Ethereum proof of stake concepts that are being discussed? So like if a node votes on 2 chains at once, so there's a fork, and a witness votes on 2 chains at once, do they get penalized in any way other than the threat of votes being removed, or is it all pinned to that threat, that voting system, reputation system kind of?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how it works in Ethereum to be able to.
Got it, fair enough. But like in terms of, so the way Ethereum is proposing it would work is that if you voted for 2 chains at once, then your funds could be slashed. So the stake that you have, the funds that you staked, could be taken from you by the network.
But in Ethereum, when you say voted for 2 chains at once.
So if you create blocks.
Right, but so the voters in this sense aren't creating the blocks, they're just voting for the witnesses who are creating the blocks. So you're saying if the witnesses support 2 separate chains?
Yes.
There's nothing to my knowledge that does that. And I think that's, again, less necessary by the fact that it's a smaller group that controls it, where, as I understand, Ethereum would be kind of anyone can create blocks. All right, so we good here? I know this is a very, I could talk about this topic for a while, but I do want to move on. So one big difference with the Steem blockchain, which is again similar to EOS as far as I understand, is that there are no transaction fees. Instead, they have bandwidth limitations. So your bandwidth in the system is determined by the amount of stake you have, the amount of Steem power you have in the system. So if I have, say, 100 Steem power, that might literally give me 10 megabytes of usage over a 24-hour period. So I'm allowed to send transactions as much as I want without any fees until I reach my, let's say, 10 megabyte limit. And then I will no longer be able to, any transactions I submit would just be ignored by the network, just like if I send a Bitcoin transfer without any transaction fees, the miners would probably just ignore it. So again, that's how it's very important in the system where you can't have it. Every upvote, every comment, every post, if you vote for a witness, all those things are transactions submitted to the blockchain. So if there were fees, in a lot of cases, the fees would be more than someone's upvote is worth. So it doesn't really work in a system like this. So that's why the bandwidth limitations were implemented. And it's one of the things a lot of people don't realize. So it actually costs money to have a usable Steem account. Sure, anyone can create a Bitcoin address. It doesn't cost anything. But for Steem, if you create it in a Steem account and it has literally no Steem power in it, you will have no bandwidth and you will be unable to transact in the system. So that's why if you go to steemit.com and you sign up, they ask you for your phone number and email, and then you have to wait for them to get back to you to approve your account. That's because Steemit Inc. that runs steemit.com actually gives you some of their bandwidth so that you can transact in the system. So a lot of people say, why do I need to give my email or my phone to use a blockchain? It's supposed to be decentralized, et cetera. You don't need to do that, and you are more than welcome to, create an account and fund it yourself and use it. And there are a number of services that do that. But that's how it works. And that's really the utility and the value driver behind the Steem token. It is what allows you to use the Steem network. So if you want to have an account and you want to be able to participate in any websites or services that use this blockchain, you need to have at least some Steem power to do that.
Why do you think they created 2 tokens? And in fact, I think I remember reading there's actually a 3rd token floating around somewhere. But why did they do that? Because of staking tokens versus
Yeah, so in the case of Steem and Steem Power, it's staking tokens versus liquid tradable tokens. So like I mentioned, there's a 13-week power down period for Steem Power. And I didn't want to get too into this, but there's also actually, yeah, so Steem Dollars is the 3rd currency, which has nothing to do with the staking system. The idea was that it would be a stable dollar-valued currency. So they wanted to kind of make it a more user-friendly platform. So they thought it would be helpful for kind of non-crypto people to have a currency that they could understand the value of and not have to worry about it going up and down. That totally didn't work, as Steem Dollars are not worth $1, which is a topic of heated debate. But yeah, as far as the actual system and power and being invested, it's just Steem and Steem Power. Yeah.
What's the throughput on the network, transactions per second?
Yeah, so actually Steem has the most transactions of any blockchain. That's more than Bitcoin and Ethereum combined, which is, a lot easier also because it's not proof of work. There are no transaction fees, and anyone just going on the website and clicking vote is a transaction. So the throughput is very high. There's a site that I don't have in the slideshow called blocktivity.info that actually shows the activity of all the blockchains. So you can see the actual numbers. But it's over 1 million transactions a day currently, and that's only used a portion of the available network capacity.
Do you have a ballpark per second number? Or?
I don't know, take 1.5 million a day and divide it by the number of seconds, and there's your number.
So isn't there a storage aspect to this many transactions being recorded on the blockchain?
Yes, it's not. They're relatively small. So the size of the blockchain is not really that large. Maybe in the 30 gigabyte range at the moment for all the block data. Where there is an issue, and the scalability is a really big focus of the developers at this point, is that in order to actually make a website like Steemit Inc., you kind of need to have all the data on the blockchain indexed and easily accessible. You need to be able to say, get me Jay's post from 2 years ago and all the votes on it. So actually, having all that data available in an easily searchable and indexable format is currently a big development focus, sort of on top of the blockchain layers to do that easily. And I'll kind of get into that a little later when I talk about development on the blockchain.
Need a powerful computers to run a blockchain.
To run a node? Well, so to just run a block producing node, like a witness node, not very powerful, probably just a single, it's a single threaded process, so just any regular processor. You need about 32 gigabytes of memory probably to run it efficiently, but like I said, mine costs less than $100 a month. So it's not too bad. If you want to actually run a full node that sites and services can use to query all the data ever posted to the blockchain, then the requirements are much higher. And again, that's where the focus is on scalability to allow that to be, spread out amongst, various servers and things like that.
Do you run your node on a physical box in your house, or do you use like
No.
a instance or something?
Yeah, I use a different service than Amazon, but yeah, I mean, it needs to be running constantly, and I produce a block every, couple times an hour maybe, so I would definitely not want to run it in my house, although there's no reason why you couldn't. If it goes down and it's your turn to produce a block, then you miss that block, and you don't get a reward for that.
What's your block reward, I guess, when you are one of the 20?
Yeah, so it's a little different for the top 20 than it is for the backup witnesses, just to make it a little more reasonable for backup witnesses to participate. So as a backup witness, you get approximately 1 Steem power for each block that you produce. And as a top 20 witness, you get less. My guess is that you make somewhere in the 250 Steem power a day range. So at prices being maybe $1.50. I know we're not supposed to talk about prices. You can do the math on the earnings there. It's significant, but it's not like being Bitmain,
So the guy who posts breakfast, the front end, right? Is that a guy also one of the witnesses, or he just some random guy who wanted to post his breakfast on social media?
No, yeah, as far as I know, there's only a relatively small number of witnesses compared to the people that actually use the platform. It's kind of like, how many people use Facebook versus how many people are actually developers that work on Facebook, So he, as far as I know, is not a witness, just someone that uses the platform to post, in this case, breakfast, and, earn money by doing that.
So,
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
one more thing.
Go ahead.
So for those people, right now, the participants, are they mostly young folks? I mean, I definitely never heard of them until now.
Yeah.
Steam, right? How are you guys marketed to this cool platform to use? Because Facebook now, not only young people use it, grandma uses it too.
Yeah, I would say Steem does not do a good job with marketing as compared to other totally crappy coins that are somehow worth $2 billion now. I think, as far as I understand, Steemit Inc., who runs Steemit.com and does most of the development work on the blockchain, they really just focus on development and kind of leave it up to the community to do the marketing, which so far hasn't worked so great, but I'm doing it. So hopefully it'll improve.
I think, honestly, when you think about it too, if they did like random marketing dollars, they didn't have the environment to support all the users coming in, for all the blocks being provided. There's definitely an axis where they would hit, probably, right?
Yeah, so they're definitely focused on scalability, not only with servers necessary to run websites, but also the sign-up process that I mentioned through Steemit.com. There's a lot of work being done to streamline that. So
They just had issues with that about a year and a half ago.
yeah. So Jay, you've been waiting patiently.
Does it actually work so that when you look at the highly voted content, is it good? I mean, and you have to be honest when you answer this.
Yeah, so that's a really hotly debated topic. So I would say, and I'm very involved in that because one of the services that I run on the blockchain is basically an advertising service. So, you could say that all the content at the top is mostly, advertised, paid to get there. But on top of that, I think if you kind of drill down into different specific categories, like at the top is just anything and everything that's posted on the blockchain. But if you drill down into a specific thing that you're interested in, where people aren't necessarily paying to advertise, to get to the top of those pages, then it does work a lot better. So I'd say yes and no. And then it also comes down to the different user interfaces. So you can build a user interface that works totally differently if you prefer. Steemit.com is just kind of like a proof of concept that just is very simple. The more it has earned, the higher it shows. But there are some other sites that are playing around with showing things differently, for how they think. Some of them involve actual human curation on posts. You can do kind of whatever you want at that level.
I have a meta point here. Are you okay, Matt, taking these questions? I know you might have a lot of other things you want to get to. I just want to make sure we get to your presentation.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I probably.
Up to you to regulate.
Yeah, I love taking these questions. I'm also available for questions afterwards at our not party at the bar.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just try to. I don't have too many slides. So I talked about some of these things, but so the Steem is the goal is to be a more user-friendly blockchain platform. So the goal is to try to get a lot of people using websites that work that are built on the Steem platform, where people don't even really have any idea that they're using cryptocurrency or blockchain or have any of that going on. So some of the features are human readable account names. So it's much easier to transfer funds to Ben D, which is Ben's actual account if you want to transfer funds to him,
Feel free.
than that, which is how you would do it on other blockchains. There's also multiple keys for different permissions levels. So you create a master password to go along with your username, which can literally be anything that you want. So if, I wouldn't advise it, but if you like to use password 1, you could use that. And your password plus your username creates these 4 keys that you can then use on sites. So if I'm just going and posting some content and uploading things, I would use my posting key to log into steemit.com. And then if that were somehow hacked or leaked, there would be no access to my funds or my Steem. All they could do is just post or vote as me. And then there's the active key, which allows for actual transferring of funds, and the owner key, which is kind of like the top level key as far as permissions go. And then a memo key, you can also just send encrypted messages. That's just used for that. So it's kind of the lowest level of usability. And then on top of that, you can also change your keys and your master password. So if my posting key gets stolen, and I don't want someone posting pretending to be me, I can reset my master password to something else, which generates a new set of keys, and then the public version of those keys are just published to the blockchain. And so now that posting key that was stolen no longer works anymore. And the final thing is if your owner key or master password gets stolen and the attacker then changes your keys so it locks you out of your account, you can actually recover your account with the cooperation of the account that created your account. So on Steem, every account has to be created by another account. So one account has to publish a transaction to the blockchain that says, I am creating this new account. And that account, in addition to the original key of the stolen account, can be used to then reset the password within 30 days. So again, that's why Steemit Inc. asks for your email or phone number. So if your account gets hacked, they can send you an email or verify that it's you. And if you still have your original owner key or master password, them and you can then set your password back and recover your account. So any questions there?
Can anyone in the world register accounts and vote for anything around the world? People post?
Yes, anyone can, but like I said, you need to actually have some Steem power in your account to be able to use the network and for your vote to have value. So if you go through Steemit Inc. will create the account for you and lend you some Steem power if you go through their website and their sign-up process, or there are some services where you can literally just pay some Bitcoin or Litecoin and fund your account and create an account that way. I'm also available to create accounts for anyone that would like here.
I'll create 2 accounts for you.
No, you don't get any more. You can create your own accounts, Dan. So this is an important thing, is Steem versus Steemit. A lot of people just use them interchangeably, and they're really very different. So Steem is the decentralized blockchain run by the witnesses and most of what we've been discussing. Steemit is a US-based corporation that is very much centralized. They run the website steemit.com, which allows you to interact with the blockchain, but is not the blockchain. It's just a website. And they also, are the largest current holder of the Steem token. They originally created the blockchain, and they do most of the development on it. But it's very different. Like if Steemit Inc., codes up a change to the blockchain, it still requires a majority of the top 20 witnesses to actually implement that change. So Steemit Inc., despite creating the blockchain, cannot actually make changes happen without the consent of the witnesses and the community. Yeah, so not only, so steemit.com is what's generally referenced as a website to use Steem, the Steem blockchain, but there are lots of other interfaces to the Steem blockchain. So there is DTube, which is a decentralized version of YouTube that utilizes the Steem blockchain. There's DLive, which is a live streaming service. DSound, I haven't used personally, but it's just for, I think, musicians and, you know, who want to post like, hey, I created this song or sound file of some sort, and then people can listen to it and vote for it, and, you know, it's a way for them to monetize that content. Utopian.io is relevant to developers here. It's a site based on rewarding open source software development contributions. So if you work on some open source software project, you can go post about it on Utopian, and you will probably earn a pretty good reward because they are very heavily trying to incentivize developers to do that. So it's, or Gitcoin, yeah. D-Mania is for memes. I'm not really into memes, but people post some picture with a silly caption, and they can make money doing that. Zapple is sort of like a Twitter clone, just for people to post like small 140 character things. Steepshot is like Instagram, just focuses on pictures. And busy.org is basically very similar to steemit.com, just with a nicer user interface. So yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Question associated with that. Which of these platforms, though, so pretty much you can earn the most on Steem because it has the most users, right?
Well, it doesn't, I mean, so one thing that's, when you post content via any of these platforms, it gets posted onto the Steem blockchain. So you can view that content then also on steemit.com or busy.org or whatever sites, you know, want to show that content. It's just on the Steem blockchain for anyone to show. So there's not, just because more people use steemit.com doesn't mean you'll necessarily earn more rewards posting there. In fact, a lot of these sites, Utopian is a good example, like purposely upvote content posted through their sites because they want to promote usage of their sites. So you can actually earn more rewards typically using a different site than steemit.com, depending upon the different type of content. And there's nothing, the only reason these sites you know, are made for different type of content is that they just have a different user interface that's specifically suited for that type of content. There's no reason that any site, you know, you could still watch a DLive video on steemit.com. It's just the interface isn't, you know, built specifically for that use case. So it's all the same thing, just with a different user interface built specifically for a certain type of content.
Video, sound, how can it be only 30 gigabytes content?
So videos, anything that's not text content is not actually stored on the Steem blockchain. So it would need to be stored somewhere else, and there would just be a link to it in the content stored on the Steem blockchain.
This is then maybe centralized. That is a defeat the purpose of decentralized.
In that case, yes. Some sites like DTube use IPFS for storage. Yeah, so only text content is actually stored on the Steem blockchain in a decentralized fashion.
Oh, okay.
It's not programmable, is that true? The blockchain's not, there's no programming language to write.
No, you can't write your own smart contract. So it's an application. Yeah, the smart contracts that exist on the platform are specific to this content publishing application. It's not like Ethereum or EOS or those. Nope. Yeah.
Has there been any talk of like legitimizing of frames, like you're hashing, putting like encryption on frames, like on DTube, so that video could be posted on there?
I haven't heard of that, but possibly.
So right now only text is a thing that can be censored.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you can encode something in a text format and publish it on the blockchain if you want. So go here. Okay, so this, I mean, specifically for this group, which may contain a lot of developers, one of the cool things that I really like about the Steem blockchain is that, you know, I'm a web developer. I have never done any smart contract development or like core blockchain development. But as a web developer, you know, Steem is built kind of for that purpose. So you can go and make a website using JavaScript and HTML and CSS and all the regular stuff that you're familiar with, and easily interface with the Steem blockchain, allow people to post to the Steem blockchain through your website, show content that's posted on the Steem blockchain through your website, just like steemit.com or any of those other ones do. and you really don't need to learn anything except a very simple API. And the way that works is you connect to a full node, which is probably something similar to what you had mentioned at the Ethereum meetup. There's some nodes that you can connect to pull content on the blockchain or interact with the blockchain. So those are called full nodes, and they contain the entire Steem blockchain history and all the content that's there, and it's all indexed for fast retrieval. And they provide a JSON RPC API for any website to just easily pull or interact with that data. And there's developers.steem.io is a website with a lot of great resources for that. So there's SDKs for JavaScript, Python, Ruby. There's probably more that I'm not aware of. And it's just a super simple call that returns some JSON. You can say get Ben's posts from the last 30 days, or upvote this post, or whatever you want to do. There's also a single sign-on solution that's called Steem Connect. So that's even easier, where if you want to have someone sign into your site using the Steem account, you can just direct them to that. They sign in, and it gives you like an access token that you can verify, okay, they actually own the Steem account, and you can also use them to interact with the Steem blockchain. So I'll just, on the next slide, this is just a super simple, oh, go ahead.
What is so who's paying for the bandwidth cost for my web app to interact with the full node?
Well, so there's no bandwidth cost to just interact with a full node.
Idea of bandwidth, but generally, if you're saying like if suddenly like Steem becomes popular and hundreds of people are like hitting these full nodes to get like the staff information and render them on different sites, so do you have to pay for it?
Yeah, sure. So lots of the full nodes are just run by people who are, say, the top witnesses who want to support it. So they run their own full node free of charge. I mean, they pay for it, I guess, out of their witness earnings. And a lot of them have usage limits. So you can maybe query them, once a second or whatever it is. There are also you can also run, if you have a big service and you don't want to rely on a public node that could, go down or limit you at any time, you are more than welcome to run your own node. It's more expensive server-wise, but if you have a service that's making money, it should be able to afford that. And there are some people that run private nodes, for other people that you can pay for. So here's just like a super simple Node.js application. You require the Steem JavaScript SDK, and you can make a call like get accounts, that's my account, and it returns a whole bunch of data about my account. So you have my name, when it was created, voting information, my Steem and Steem dollar balance. The vesting shares is what is Steem Power. There's like JSON metadata, so there's a kind of standard convention of, I can put a profile image for my account, which is a picture of me, and then sites using that standard convention can check if there's a profile image there and display it on the site. And there's, you could put a website link and other things. So this is all non-consensus. I can put literally whatever I want in the JSON metadata. Just sites, won't be able to pick it up if I put something weird. Some people like to put random stuff in there that they think is funny. They're more than welcome to do that. And similarly, so, Steem.api, you can do whatever. Get the last 30 posts by this author. Get posts with this tag. You can broadcast transactions. So I could broadcast a post transaction. So if someone comes to my website and, they enter their posting key and their username, and they write up something in a text field and hit submit, I can call steem.broadcast.post or whatever it is, and provide that information, and it literally posts it to the blockchain, and within about 3 seconds returns the transaction ID and relevant information that it was successful or not. So it's just super simple for web developers to use.
But is that like one block or one transaction within a block?
This is not a transaction. So this is just querying data that's indexed on a full node. If I were to say post something, then I would be submitting one transaction that would get included into a block.
I see. What's the vesting shares and delegated vesting shares?
Sure. So this is, again, a little more complicated topic that we can maybe get into at the bar or something. But so Steem Power, what's known as Steem Power, the actual currency as far as the blockchain is concerned is called vests.
So not SBD, is that something else?
SBD is Steem blockchain dollars. So those are what's supposed to be the pegged currency to $1. So vesting shares is basically the amount of Steem power that I have. And it's not one-to-one, so I don't have, unfortunately, 26 million Steem power. And then delegated and received vesting shares is if you have Steem power, you can delegate it to someone else, which means you let them use it. So when Steemit.com makes an account for you, they delegate a small amount of Steem power to your account, which means they still control it. They can undelegate it at any time, but you can use it as far as bandwidth in the system or voting value. So I have this amount of vests delegated to me from another account. It's really just one of my other accounts. But that way, this one account can use the combined power of both accounts. That's received vesting shares. Delegated vesting shares are shares that I've delegated to other people. So there's some projects that I like to support. I delegate Steem power to them, and then their vote is worth more. It helps them earn more money. And
Given 43 million Steem power?
no, so like I said, so this is not a one-to-one vest. So I believe 1 million vests is worth approximately 500 Steem power. So yeah, so 26 million vests is probably is 13,000 Steem power, which sounds about right. So I have about 13,000 Steem power in my account. If you go onto Steemit.com and look at my account, it'll show you that in a more readable format. And that's the reason they call it Steem power, and they use that is just because that is a one-to-one ratio to Steem. So you always know 1,000 Steem power is equal to 1,000 Steem. You don't have to do any type of conversion with vests. Good?
So is
yeah.
this the actual crypto and Steem power is just a...
Yes, the Steem power is just a way of showing vests. Vests are the actual name of the currency on the Steem platform.
Is that a fixed ratio? Sorry.
It is not a fixed ratio. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense to have that. So,
How does it float? What's it based on?
right. So it's a, what's the word? There's essentially interest for holding Steem power. So, and the way the interest works is if I have this many vests, that never changes, assuming I don't buy any more vests or power down. But the value of vests in Steem slowly goes up. So I said 1 million vests is worth about 500 Steem power. That amount slowly increases over time. So in a year from now, my 1 million vests might be worth 510 Steem power. So essentially by investing in the system and holding on to that, I earn an interest rate.
So that's on a per user basis. That's not a network-wide conversion rate?
Well, no, it is a network-wide conversion rate. So then per user, it's just how many vests you have.
Got it.
How are the vests mined, or the blocks created, or how is that?
Right. So when new Steem is created, really it's new vests that are created, and that's what's paid out as your rewards for posts. So when you earn money posting, it's you earn kind of more vested interest in the system. But as far as everyone's concerned, that's just called Steem. So if you look at the total amount of Steem that's in circulation, really a lot of that is vests. And it's just the current value of that in Steem.
So does vests represent both Steem and Steem power, or is there...
Vests are Steem power, but Steem power is just the value of vests in Steem, is really, if you want to boil it down. It's a little complicated, I know.
I was under the impression that the Steem power, like dividends, you could say, were just enough that you were combating the inflation.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So since there is inflation, they don't want it to be, a losing proposition to hold on to Steem power. So the rate of interest, you could say, that you earn on the Steem power is proportional to the inflation rate. So you're not losing anything to inflation.
So the idea is like I haven't been on my Steem account, I would say 3 months. But when I first joined, I thought that I was getting money by putting in Steem power, and I just realized that I wasn't. If I'm not going to use it every day, is the best way to make money to delegate to an active user?
Yeah. So, and again, that's specifically the service I run on Steem is for non-active Steem accounts to delegate Steem power to it, and they earn a return.
All right, well, you got it. I don't know how to do that.
Sure. We could talk later. Okay, so we talked about some of this stuff already, but if you're a developer and you build a site or service on Steem, there are often lots of people looking to support sites and services built on Steem. So you may receive delegation. Steemit Inc., who is the largest holder of Steam Power, delegates significant amounts to good projects like Utopian and DTube and DLive, to help fund those projects and help them be successful. And so, Steemit Inc. There is no Steem Inc. So this is just an example of DLive's account. So they have 42,000 Steam Power. They have been delegated slightly over 2 million Steam Power. So it's just an example of how like a popular service can, earn funding sort of in this way. And the second thing is if you build a site on top of Steem, you can take a percentage of all the rewards earned by content posted through your site, which is called a beneficiary reward. So if you post through DTube or DLive, and I don't know if they take a percentage or what the percentage is, but they could take a percentage as a way to fund their project. And if anyone builds a project on Steem, that's a way to fund it. And that's it. So. Sharon.
So, some examples of well-developed or useful developed sites that people have made on top of.
Yeah, so that was the other slide here's 9 of them.
So these are just people, like individuals, got together and made these things themselves.
Yep, only Steemit.com is the only one that is affiliated with Steemit Inc. Others are just random guys. I know some of them.
Steep Shot, I looked at it. It was on the iPhone, so I thought it was kind of tacky. Under each photo, there was $1 amount of what it was earning, and it seemed like, I don't know, it seemed.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of the focus of Steem sites, obviously, because that's kind of the differentiating factor from non-Steem sites. But again, like if you don't like that, it's pretty easy to make your own version. And a lot of these are open source. So even Steemit.com is open source. You can just fork it on GitHub, go and say, hide $1 amount div or whatever it is, and throw it up on a server, and boom, you've done it. Go ahead.
I joined pretty long ago, and what was really weird was I posted like one thing, and then pretty soon I had like $39. So I just came there, and then all of a sudden I had $39, and that just
From that post?
or after some amount of time, or something like that. This was quite some time ago. It just sounded really strange that I could come to a place and basically do nothing and get $39, and then I just kind of thought that didn't feel right.
Well, so you can go on a Block Explorer and look at your account, and we can find out exactly how you got $39.
Can you go to the last line?
But where did that $39 come from?
Well, without looking at what happened on your account, I can't answer that.
So you probably, the value of Steem has gone up since then. So you probably had a little bit of Steem, and then it just went up in value.
Okay, I've had rewards.
Well,
If you know your account name, we can literally look up the history and find out exactly. If you made one post, maybe you got some big upvotes on that post. I don't know.
But how does someone come? How does someone come and then just magic money show up?
Well, magic money doesn't show up, so you have to either someone maybe sent you Steem, or you posted content that got votes and you earned some of the Steem from the reward fund.
So one thing that I'll say is that when my first post got like a number of upvotes from what I assume are like community-driven bots. I think in my case it was only like $5, so I didn't do as well as you did. But I think that people in the community, like when the first time they see an account post, I think there are some bots that like upvote automatically first-time posters posts to try to like create
But it
engagement and
doesn't
get your
cost.
site.
It doesn't cost anyone to vote, and the money is like materialized. So where does the actual money come from originally?
It's new Steem that's created. So again, like where does new Bitcoin money come from, right? New Bitcoin's created every block. That's new money being created. In that case, it goes to the miners. It's the same thing in this case. It just goes to the content publishers.
I was waiting for you to mention SMTs because I know that's a big new thing.
Yeah, I knew that I was going to be going very long here, so that's sort of a.
We have a few more minutes if you want to take at least a few more minutes. However long you're.
Okay.
You can handle the questions, Matt. It's up to you.
I can handle the questions all night. They'll kick us out. But okay, so yes, I was thinking of doing like a future developments slide, and I didn't get there. So one of the biggest promised future developments on the Steem platform, which is in the works, are called smart media tokens. So the idea, to boil it down, is like ERC20 tokens on the Steem platform that work the same way that Steem currently does. So let's say I want to make my own website, the mattrosen.com, and I don't want to use Steem, right? I want to use my own token. But I still want to do the same thing. I want people to post. I want there to be new Matt Rosens that are created, and then, or we'll call it Matt tokens, and I want people to be able to earn them through upvotes. But I want to control how those are distributed. So that's the idea of smart media tokens. So, you know, you can go on the Steem platform, create your own token, you know, set some parameters about how it's distributed if you don't like how Steem is currently distributed, and then have that be used on your website, and it'll just automatically, out of the box, no programming, work this same way that Steem currently does.
Is there a timeline on that?
You and everyone in the world is asking that. No.
Because I've been following it since they announced it.
Yeah, I don't. I believe like Ned at one point said end of year. I don't necessarily trust that. But yeah, so I can't answer a timeline on that.
How is this competing against the more established content platforms like the V2? How does that match against like YouTube, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's gotten some popularity because recently YouTube has been demonetizing a lot of people, and that's been helping people move over. But you know, obviously, it's not nearly to the level YouTube is. For obvious reasons. I hope that in the future there will be more and more sites on the Steem blockchain that do a much better job of marketing and specifically getting people in from outside the cryptocurrency community. And I think that's where Steem will really grow as a platform when some sites really, you know, kind of crack that use case.
So a couple quick questions. The first one is, how were the initial tokens distributed, given that it's a proof of stake? How was the network bootstrapped?
Initially, there was proof of work mining, and that is also a contentious subject that they known as the ninja mine, that where how Steemit Inc. essentially mined a large number of tokens, you know, right at the beginning when it was very easy to do and not that many people were doing it, which is, you know, essentially how, so there was no ICO, and my understanding is that's how they basically funded their development, was by sort of giving themselves a lot at the beginning. And then mining was stopped over a year ago, and it switched to 100% this delegated proof of stake system. So I wasn't around at that time, and I don't know the exact details, but that's.
So then, second question is, so it seems like, you know, so EOS has launched now, and, you know, created by the same guy. Seems like the same basic engineering and, you know, centralization versus decentralization trade-offs.
Yeah.
But it has a full, you know, smart contract language. So why shouldn't Steem just be one dApp sitting on top of EOS? Why does it need its own blockchain anymore now?
Yeah, I mean, so there's been talk of creating a Steem competitor on EOS, and it's definitely possible to do. There's also a lot of infrastructure, and that's a lot of the work being done that's on top of the blockchain layer. So I mentioned there's like full nodes that run and index everything, and there's a lot of work being done on like soft consensus layers that run on top of the blockchain. And there's no reason that that stuff can't be done on EOS also, but you know, Steem is already here and works and is built specifically for that type of thing. So I kind of equate it to like, if you want to make a blog online, you can go to Amazon and rent a EC2 instance and code up your own blog, or you can just go to WordPress that already did it for you. So that's kind of how they look at the smart media tokens thing. It's like if you want to make a content publishing site that uses blockchain and rewards people in this way, yes, you can build something on EOS or use something that's built on EOS, or you could use Steem that already has done it and has been running for a while. Okay.
Can you tell us what you did?
Yeah, so,
Or he had a question.
yeah, go ahead.
Last question about Steam bounties. I heard that's gonna be a thing.
Steam Bounty is a thing by a Philadelphia guy named Phil Nurk, who's a great guy. He's very excited about it. I think it's a neat idea, but not much beyond that. It's just the idea. A lot of people on Steam might say, you know, I need a new logo for this project. I'll give out 20 Steem to the best, you know, logo that's posted in the comments. So he just created a site specifically for that and a method, you know, to kind of organize and control that. So I think it's steam-bounty.com if anyone's interested.
So why don't we finish on Jay's question, which was why don't you tell us a little bit about your projects, and then any other questions we can help clean up and take those to the bar.
Sure. I'll try to do this real quick. So Steem Bot Tracker was my first project that kind of all got this started. There's a lot of different bots and services, like advertising services on the Steem platform. They were just kind of out there, and there was no information about them, and they were hard to use. So about 9 months ago, I created a website that just kind of organizes all that information and shows you everything you know about all the bots that I'm aware of on the Steem platform. It's currently quite popular and has about 30,000 monthly users, which is a significant portion of the people that use the Steem platform. Then on top of that, I ended up creating my own bot and post-promotion service that's called Post Promoter. So Ben, if you're interested in delegating, you'll be delegating to the post.
Quick question about that. Are you doing that with Manu Dampier?
I'm not. I work with Manu, and he has also delegated some of his Steem power to that. But he's not, you know, nothing other than that. Manu is actually my boss currently at my day job.
He was an investor in the startup that I
Yeah, Thrive, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've worked with Manu for a long time. And so Steem Monsters is my most recent project. You can see it at steammonsters.com. It is a trading card game that utilizes the Steem blockchain. There's a lot that can get into that. We don't even have the game built yet. All you can do is buy cards and trade them and everything, and it's been very popular, and I have a lot of pressure now to create the game. But yeah, so you can feel free and go on there and check out some Steem Monsters. And then Steem Philly is the name of our group. So on steemit.com, there's a tag, Steem Philly, and you can see people in the community that have posted on Steem. And that's it.
All right. Well, that's all the programming we have for tonight. If everybody could just help yourself to another slice of pizza.